Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 5 math. So we are working on the book Pearson Math Makes Sense grade 5. We are working on chapter 1, that is patterns and equation, and the lessons we're going to start with are today we're going to start with the lessons using a variable to describe a problem and then using a variable to write an equation. So let's just start with the lessons. Okay, here is lesson 3, using a variable to describe a pattern. So let's just start with the lesson. Okay, here is the pattern practice questions. For the pattern below, copy and complete the table. Write an expression to represent the pattern in the number of dots. Okay, so let's start with figure 1. You can see in figure 1 you have 1, 2, 3, 4 dots, right? For figure 2 you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For figure 3 they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For figure 4 they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like they are growing by 1 every time, right? So let's just start with figure number and number of dots. We're going to write here figure number and dots in the figure, right? Okay, so sorry, figure 1, 4 dots. Figure 2, 5 dots. Figure 3, 6 dots. Figure 4, 7 dots. I think, let me just confirm. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Figure 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Figure 5, 8 dots, right? Okay, so what you have to do, the question is copy and complete the table. Okay, we've completed the table. Write an expression to represent the pattern in the number of dots. Now you have to write down the pattern, right? So hold on. Okay, so you have to look for a pattern. Figure 1, you have 4 dots. Then you have figure 2, you have 5 dots. Figure 3, you have 6 dots. So you have to write an expression in terms of, you have to write an expression to represent the pattern in number of dots, right? You have to write an expression. Okay, so you can see this one. Here you have 1 that equals 3 plus 1. Here you have 2 that equals 5. 3 plus 2. Here you have 3 plus 3 makes 6. 3 plus 4 makes 7. 3 plus 5 makes 8, right? That means this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 is same as number of figure, right? So for example, we represents the figure number by n. So it would be 3 plus n, right? You can write the dots represents the mathematical expression, that would be 3 plus n. N is the figure number. For example, you are going to see figure number 8, how many dots do you have to just do 3 plus 8? That means in figure number 8 you have 11 dots, right? Okay, let's just start with the next one. The next one is for the pattern below, copy and complete the table. Write an expression to represent the pattern in the number of squares. So that's exactly the same. Let's just do the B part, right? copy and complete the table. Figure number and number of squares. Figure number and number of squares. Okay, I think in the first one you have 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In the second one, 7. Third one, 8. 4, 1, 9. And 5, 1, 10. So they are, in figure 1 you have 6. Figure 2 you have 7. Figure 3 you have 8. Figure 4 you have 9. And figure 5 you have 10. So you have to write down the mathematical expression, right? So how do you write mathematical expression? Here you have 5 plus 1 makes 6, right? 5 plus 2 makes 7. 5 plus 3 makes 8. 5 plus 4 makes 9, and 5 plus 5 makes 10. You can see this 5 is common for everyone, right? And these are the values exactly like here. Figure 1, you have to add 1. Figure 2, you have to add 2. Figure 3, you have to add 3. That means, let's suppose if the figure is n number of figure you are going to draw, you have to add 5 for everything. For example, you are going to see in figure number 9, how many squares do you have? So you have 9 plus 5 equals 14. So it would be n plus 5, right? If you have any question, you can please write down the questions in the chat box. I can answer all your questions and confusions if you have any, right? Okay, let's just start with question number 3. For each table, write an expression for the number of dots in any figure. Check that expression is correct. You have to write down the expression, right? You are given the table, number of figures also. You are given figure number and the number of dots. So start with the first one. 1, 5, 2, 6, 3, 7, 4, 8, 5, 9, and 6, 10, right? You have to write down the mathematical expression for these tables. Like we are doing, we did 2 questions, right? Okay, so you can see here you have 1. 5 is 1 plus 4, right? 2 plus 4. 3 plus 4 is 7. 4 plus 4 is 8. 5 plus 4 is 9. And 6 plus 4 is 10. So 4 is constant for every time, and you're adding the same like figure number, and the number you add is exactly same. Like you can see here 1, here you are adding 1, here you have 2, here you are adding 2, here you have 3, here you are adding 3, right? So it would be n. For example, figure number n, you have to add 4 every time, right? Okay, for this one, figure number 1 dot 6, figure 2 dot 7. So it would be 1 plus 5. That would be 2 plus 5. That's the exactly the same I did on the board right before this one, right? 3 plus 5, 4 plus 5, 5 plus 5, and then 6 plus 5. So that means if number of figure number n, right, you have to add the constant number 5 every time. So for this one, the expression is n plus 5, right? Okay, let's just look at this one. 1 0, 2 1, 3 2, 4 3, 5 4, 6 1. That means the number of dots are 1 less than the number of figure, right? It is 1 0. It is 2, so it is 2 minus 1, 3 minus 1, 4 minus 1. Everyone, it is 1 less. 5 minus 1, 6. That means these are the 0 minus 1, right? These are the 1 minus 1, sorry. Not. These are the number of figure number, right? N is figure number. You have to subtract 1 every time. So it would be n minus 1, right? Okay, let's just start with question number 4. Use a variable to write a pattern rule for each number pattern. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to write down expression. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have to write. See, the pattern is increasing by 1, right? 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 plus 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5, 5 plus 1 is 6, right? That means the pattern is increasing by 1. So, write a pattern rule for each number pattern. You have to write a pattern rule. So that means you're going to start with 2 and you're going to add 1 every time, right? Start at 2 and add 1 each time. So for each next number, you have to add 1, right? Okay, the next one is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, the next one is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So you're going to start with 10. So start at 10. That is actually the pattern rule, right? You have to start at 10 and add 1 each time. So for each next number, you have to add 1 to previous number, right? Okay, the next one is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you have to start at 8 and you have to go forward by 1, right? Okay, find the hundredth term in each pattern in question number 4. Okay, if you have to calculate the 100 pattern, right? You have to add 100th term, right? You're going to start with 2. The first term is 2. Hold on. Mm, I just don't want to confuse you. I just want to say you have to calculate the 100th term. The first one is 2, right? You have to start with 2 and you have to add 1 each time. You have to calculate the 100th term, right? For example, this is the first term, right? Let's just make a table. Term 1, these are the terms and these are the values. 2, sorry, for 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. So it would be 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4 plus 1. That means it would be n plus 1, right? N is the terms and you have to add 1. So you have to look at the 100. So it would be 100 plus 1 equal 101, right? For the second one, it starts with 10, right? Every time it is increasing by 1. So it would be n plus 10. For example, you have to calculate the 100. It would be 100 plus 10. So 100 term would be 110 because you are starting with 10, right? So the 100 term would be 110, right? And for the third one, for the last one, you have to start with 8 and growing by 1. So it would be n plus 8, right? Because the first term is 8. So you have to calculate 100. It would be 100 plus 8 equals 108, right? Okay, let's start with question number 6. Write an expression for each number pattern. Write next 5 terms in each pattern. Explain how do you know the expressions and terms are correct. Show your work. Okay, let's just start with question number 6. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You have to write 5 next terms, right? Okay, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Okay, let's just make a table. For example, term 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The values you are given is 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, right? So the first one is 1 plus 14 makes 15, right? The second one is 2 plus 14 makes 16. Third one is 3 plus 14 makes 17. 4 plus 14 makes 18 and 5 plus 14 makes 19. That means the pattern is growing by, for example, t is the term values. 14 is constant. You have to add 14 plus t. You have to add 5 next values. It would be 20, 21, 22. You don't need to calculate. You know the pattern is growing by 1, right? So it would be 20, 21, 22, 23, right? Okay, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. The next one is 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, let's start with term 1, 2, 3, 4. The values are 16, 17, 16, 17, 18, and 19, right? So you can see 1 plus 15 makes 16. Then 2 plus 15 makes 17. Then 3 plus 15 makes 18, and then 4 plus 15 makes 19, right? So these are the terms value. 1, you have to add 1. Term 2, you have to add 2. Term 3, you have to add 3. Term 4, you have to add 4. Basically, the 15 is constant, right? So for example, you can represent term as t. You have to add 15 every time, right? So for the next terms, you don't need to add because that is very easy. They are growing by 1. So the next one, 5 terms are 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, right? Okay, question number 7. Here are some decreasing patterns. Match each pattern with an expression below. How can you check that you are correct? Okay, you have to match them. 99, 98, 97, 96, 95, right? Every time the pattern is decreasing by 1, right? And it starts with 99. So that means the correct one would be, for this one, the correct option is 100 minus t, right? For example, for the term 1, you have to do 100 minus 1. That equals 99. Here is 99. For term 2, you have to subtract 2. Yes, Patch, if you have any question, you can please ask. So that means for the A part, the correct one is 100 minus t, right? Then here you have 34, 33, 32, 31. So it would be also that would when decreasing by 1, right? So that means it starts with 34. So the correct option is 35 minus t for B, right? Then for the C is starting with 50 and also decreasing by 1. So that means the correct one for the C part is 51 minus t, right? Okay, use a variable, write a pattern for each pattern. So you have to write down the pattern. 100, 9, 8, 7, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Starting with 10 and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. The pattern is decreasing by 1, right? And the first one is, then it would be 11 minus 1. Then 9 is 11 minus 2. 8 is 11 minus 3. That means the constant one is n and t is decreasing, so it would be 11 minus t, right? It would be 11 minus t. Okay, the next one is starting with 40 and decreasing by 1. 40, 39, 38. Also it is decreasing by 1. That means it start with 41, because 41 minus 1 makes 40, so it would be 41 minus t, right? So for this one, the correct one is 41 minus t. And then for the last one, it starts with 30, 1,000 and decreasing by 1 every time, right? That means it would start with 1001 minus t, because you have to subtract 1, and this way you will, like for the first term you have to subtract 1001 minus 1, you will get 1000, right? Okay, we are done with the lesson. So let's just start next lesson, that is strategies toolkit. Okay, I forgot lesson 4. I've written the lesson 5 name, strategies toolkit. Let's see. Let me just try edit the lesson name. I forgot the lesson 4. Okay. Okay, let's start with, we have only 2 practice questions. Okay, let's see. A mouse crawls through this maze. The mouse always move forward. How many different paths could the mouse take from A to B, from A to C, from A to D? What pattern to use? Predict the number of different paths the mouse could take from A to H, right? Okay, you have to go from A to B. He can go like this. Yeah, there's so many ways, right? He can go like this, then like this, then like this, then like this. So he has so many ways to go. Okay, let's just skip lesson 4. That's why I skipped lesson 4. Let's start with lesson 5. Using a variable to write an equation. So how do we write an equation? We have to use a variable. Variable means, like, you don't know, you don't have the exact value, you can use a, b, c. These are the a, b, c or x, y, z. I'm already using, they are the variables, right? For example, just look at this example. Jean opened a package of 20 pencils. He gave out some pencils, right? You have the word some pencils. You don't have the number. You don't know how many exact pencils he given, right? There were 6 pencils left. So you don't know the number of pencils he gave out. So you have to use the variable that represents some pencil, right? You can use either x, you can use either p, you can use any variable you can use, right? So there is a situation you don't know the numbers, where you have to use then the variables, right? Let's just look at the practice questions. Which equation below represents this problem? Explain your choice. Together, Melissa and Perry have 15 rare hockey cards. Melissa has 9 cards. How many cards does Perry have? Okay, you are given 4 of the options. You have to see which option is the correct one, right? Okay, together Melissa and Perry have 15 rare hockey cards, right? That means, for example, For example, Melissa have M and Perry have P. Together they have 15, right? You don't know what are the numbers. These M and P, they are the variables. You don't know how much they have. But you are given Melissa has 9 cards. Replace Melissa with 9. It would be 9 plus P equals 15. So this is the equation that represents how many cards does Perry have, right? So the correct option is you can. The correct option is how many cards Perry have. Okay, they represents the Perry with C, right? So it would be C plus 9 equals 15. That would be the correct one. You have, yes, B option number. B is the, I just replaced the variable P with C, right? Because in the questions they use the variable C. I just referred P to Perry and M to Melissa, right? So in the questions they use C, so it would be C plus 9 equal. Either you write C plus 9 equal 15 or either 9 plus C equal 15. They both are exactly same. Equation number 2 is the correct one. B is the correct one, right? Okay. Write an equation for each of questions 2 to 4. You have to write down the equation from question 2 to question 4. Mary George has 4 buckets of clams for the long house feast. Each bucket contains some number of clams. Altogether, Mary has 120 clams. How many clams are in each bucket? Okay, so he have 4 buckets for the long house feast. Each bucket contains some number of clams. You don't know how many clams in each bucket you have. Altogether, Mary George has 120 clams. How many clams are in each bucket? You have to calculate the clams you have in each bucket. For example, I'm going to represent the clams with C, right? You have to write down the equation. So that means 4 times C because he have C, or either you can use B, 4 buckets, right? So you can use B. 4 times the bucket equal 120. You don't know how many clams you have in one bucket. So I am going to represent the B with the clam. I'm going to represent the variable B that represents the clam in the bucket, right? So how many clams in each bucket? You have to B equals 100. You have to just write down the equation. It will be 4 times B equals 120, right? Okay, you also have to calculate how many clams in each bucket. So 4 and B are multiplying, right? So opposite to multiplication is division. You have to divide both sides by 4 then. 4 and 4 cancel out. You are left with B, and 4 times 3 is 12, 30. That means in each bucket he have 30 clams in each basket. He have, right? Okay, let's start with question number 3. Question number 3 is Leslie read 114 pages of an exciting novel. The novel is 204 pages. How many more pages does Leslie have to read? Okay, so he already have read 114, right? That means 114 plus the more pages. You don't know the number of pages. The total you have is 204 pages. Not hard, you just have to understand the statement carefully. Like this one, Leslie read 114 of an exciting novel, right? So she have already done with 114 pages. The novel is 204 pages. How many more pages does Leslie have to read? You have to calculate the pages, more pages until 204, right? 114 and the pages she haven't read yet makes 204. Basically you have to calculate, you here you have write an equation. Otherwise, if you don't have to write the equation, the question is very easy. You can just subtract 114 out of 204, you will get the remaining pages, isn't it? So basically you have, the concept is you have to write down the equation, just subtract 114 other side, because uh, addition and subtraction are opposite to each other, right? So when you subtract, it would be, I think, 90 pages. That means still she have 90 pages to read until 204, right? Okay. The next one is question number 4. There, the water cooler held 66 cup of water. Every minute, 3 cups of water were taken. How many minutes did it take for the water cooler to empty? So the water cooler all have 66 cups of water, right? Each minute, 3 cups of water were taken. How many? You don't know after how many minutes the cooler is empty, right? So 66. The water cooler held 66 cup of water. Each minute, 3 cups of water were taken. How many minutes did it take the water cooler to empty? Right? It would be 66 divided by 3, right? Because after every 1 minute, it is drained by 3. So that means right after 22 minutes, the cooler is empty, right? Okay, write two equations for each of the question 5 and 6. Okay, you have to write two equations for question 5 and 6. Three towers were built. Each tower had the same number of toy blocks. Altogether, there were 144 blocks. How many blocks were in each tower? So, three towers you are going to make. And they all have the same number of toy blocks. Together, they make 144 blocks. How many blocks were in each tower? You just have to write down the equations. Three tower, right? So together there were one, x, y, and z equals. No, they have same. For example, no, the question is each tower had same number of toys. For example, in the first one they are a, right? The second one are also a. The third one is also a because they are exactly same. That equals 144. You have to write two different equations. When you add them, it makes 3a equals 144. Divide 3 both sides, so it would be 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 8 is 24. It would be 48. That means in each block there are, each tower there are 48 blocks, right? Okay, the next one is why you give up. You can ask questions where you are confused. I'm trying my best to explain. You can ask question. The next one is Jaypreet picked 30 boxes of blueberries in the bush. After she sold some boxes, she's left with 13 boxes. Okay, let's just understand the next one. Jaypreet picked 30 boxes of blueberries, right? She sold some boxes. You don't know how many, some. For example, total are 30. She sold X. Okay. She had 13 boxes left. And after she sold out some boxes, she still left with 13. How many boxes did Jaypreet sell? So if you don't have to write the equations, they are very easy. You simply have to subtract 13 out of 30 and you have like 17 boxes you're left with. So basic thing is you have to write down the equation. The total boxes are 30. Some of them sold are X. 30 minus X equals 13. Just calculate the value of X, right? You have to subtract 30, other side it would be 30 minus 13 equals X. That means 17 boxes still she have. After selling 17 boxes, she still have 17 boxes, right? Okay, question number 30 is next one is write a word problem for which you can write an equation. Write as many equations as you can for your problem. Explain how you know each equation represent the X is something you don't know, like some boxes. This is actually the variable. X is the variable. After she sold some boxes, you don't know how many boxes she sell. So there you have to use the variable. X is the value you need to find out. Okay, let's just start with the simpler example. For example, you have a pack of pencil, right? Let's just start with very simple example. We are done with the questions, but for your explanation, I'm going to start with a simple example. Just listen to me carefully. For example, you have a pack of pencil, and in the pack you have 12 pencils, right? You gave some pencils, right? I don't know the number, to your sister, right? For example, that is X. I don't know the value. That's why I am using a variable X. X is representing the pencils you gave to your sister. And after giving the X pencils to your sister, you are left with 4 pencils. You have to find how many pencils you gave to your sister. Basically, the concept here is you have to write down the equation. Otherwise, it is very easy to solve. Let's suppose the same question. Let's just skip the equation. You have a pack of pencils, 12 pack of pencils, right? You given some of the pencils to your sister. You're left with 4 pencils. How many pencils you have given to your sister? How do you solve this question? 3 pencils. How? 20 take away what number is 4? You forgot everything. Yes, 20 take away 8 equals 4. That means 8 are the pencils you have given to your sister, right? So x8 is a number you don't know about. You have to calculate the value x. So that's why you are using the equations. X is just a variable. You don't know the value. You have to calculate the value of the x, right? Like I made a problem. You have a pack of pencils. You have given some of the pencils to your sister. And after giving the pencils to your sister, you are left with 4 pencils. So how many pencils you gave to your sister? You gave to your sister 8 pencils, right? Okay, please try to understand the concept of the variables. Go to grade 4 and see the chapter variables. You can even search the channel. I have already done the lessons from the A plus earlier. So if you still have a problem, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They will probably explain in details, right? So we were working on grade 5 math. We have started with a book that is Pearson Maths Makes Sense Grade 5 book. Chapter we're working on is patterns and equations, and the lessons we have covered are using a variable to describe a problem and using a variable to write an equation. So please make sure before the next session you can just repeat every question, because I think I'm done with every question. So you can just go through once again. Still you have problem, you can just contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9, right? So if you have any question, you can please ask. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. So please ask if you have any question. No questions? Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye everyone.